Look at them. Just metal. These machines were once the kings of the sky. Millions of dollars, decades of engineering, the pride of nations. And now, they're just scrap. Here is the question that keeps generals awake at night. What killed them? Was it a missile? A cannon? A pilot with nerves of steel? No, it was silence. In a simulated war game over the Pacific, a squadron of elite pilots flew the best jets money could buy. They had radar, they had missiles, they had experience. They were hunting a single target, an F-35. Within 4 minutes, the entire squadron was dead. The F-35 pilot did not even turn on his afterburner. He did not have to. By the time the enemy pilots saw the F-35 on their screens, they were already wreckage. But here's the twist, the part they do not tell you in the press releases. The F-35 is the most hated fighter jet in history. Critics call it a flying wallet. They say it's too heavy, too expensive, a dogfight loser. So how does a jet that everyone says is flawed consistently kill jets that everyone says are superior? Is it magic? Is it cheating? Or is it something far more terrifying? Today, we are going to peel back the skin of the F-35 Lightning II. We are not just talking about speed. We are talking about information. We are talking about the end of air combat as we know it. And I need you to keep one question in your mind for the next 30 minutes. If you were in the cockpit of an enemy jet and you knew an F-35 was within 100 miles, what would you do? Run, hide, or fight? Hold that thought, because the answer might surprise you. In fact, by the end of this video, you will realize that the F-35 is not just a fighter jet, it is a computer that happens to fly. But first, we have to address the elephant in the room, the controversy. Why does the world love to hate this machine? Let's be honest, if you follow military aviation, you've heard the complaints. It's a Swiss Army knife that does nothing well. It can't dogfight. It's grounded more than it flies. These are not just internet trolls saying this. These are senators, generals, competing defense contractors. Look at that landing. It looks heavy, doesn't it? Compared to the sleek elegance of an F-22 or a MiG-29, the F-35 looks bulky, like a flying fuel tank. And that's the first trap, the visual trap. We are conditioned to think that fast means pointy, that agile means small. But war is not about looking cool, it's about survival. The F-22 Raptor is the king of air superiority. Everyone agrees. It's faster, it climbs higher, it turns tighter. So why build the F-35 at all? Why spend $1.7 trillion on the ugly duckling? Here is your first surprise. Most people think the F-35 was designed to shoot down other planes. That's false. Shooting down planes is actually secondary. Pause. Let that sink in. If the F-35 is not primarily designed to kill jets, what is it designed to kill? It is designed to kill the system. In modern warfare, a jet is just one node in a massive network. You have ground radar, you have surface-to-air missiles, you have command centers. The F-35's primary job is to sneak into that network, blind it, and dismantle it before the dogfight even begins. It's not a boxer, it's an assassin. But let's address the dogfight rumor. The internet loves to say the F-35 lost a dogfight to an F-16. Yes, that happened in 2015. A test pilot wrote a report saying the F-35 lacked energy in a turn. The media went wild. F-35 fails. But here's the context they left out. That F-35 was flying with software version 3i. It was restricted. It could not use its full maneuvering envelope. It was like asking a Formula One car to race with the speed limiter on. Ask yourself this. If you bought an iPhone today, would you judge it based on the software from 2007? Of course not. The F-35 is a flying software platform. The hardware is just the chassis. Since 2015, the software has been updated over a dozen times. The flight control laws have changed. The thrust vectoring logic has improved. The jet that exists today is not the jet that existed in 2015. In recent exercises, like Red Flag 2022, F-35s achieved a kill ratio of 20-1. 20 enemy aircraft destroyed for every one F-35 lost. That is not a loser, that is a predator. But how? If it is slower than an F-22 and less agile than an F-16 in a pure energy fight, how does it win? It wins because the enemy is fighting a ghost. Imagine you are in a room, you have a sword, you are a master swordsman, but your opponent, you cannot see him, you cannot hear him, but he can see you perfectly. He knows where you are standing, he knows your heart rate, he knows when you are going to swing before you even decide to swing. Would you bet on the sword or the ghost? This brings us to the physics of invisibility, stealth. We all think stealth means invisible to radar, but that is a simplification. True stealth is about reducing your radar cross-section, or RCS. An F-15 looks like a flying barn door to radar. An F-35 looks like a golf ball. But here's the surprise I promised you earlier. It is not just about hiding, it is about listening. The F-35 can detect enemy radar emissions without turning on its own radar. Think about that. The enemy turns on their radar to find the F-35. By turning on their radar, they light themselves up like a Christmas tree. The F-35 sees the light. The enemy sees nothing. It is the equivalent of walking into a dark room with a flashlight. You can see everything, but everyone sees you. The F-35 walks in with night vision goggles. But seeing the enemy is only half the battle. You have to process the data. And this is where the F-35 does something no other jet in history can do. It fuses reality. Coming up, we are going to look at the brain of the beast, and I'm going to show you how the pilot sees through the solid metal floor of the aircraft. You're not going to want to miss this. It changes everything about spatial awareness. But first, we need to understand the network, because the F-35 never fights alone. In a traditional fighter, like an F-15 or a Su-35, the pilot is overwhelmed. They have one screen for radar, one screen for infrared, one screen for navigation, one screen for threats. The pilot has to be a data analyst and a fighter pilot. In the heat of battle, that is too much. Cognitive overload. The F-35 solves this with sensor fusion. The jet takes data from every sensor on the aircraft, the APG-81 radar, the EOTS targeting system, the DAS distributed aperture system. It blends it all together. It does not show the pilot raw data, it shows the pilot answers. If there is a missile coming, it doesn't just beep, it draws a line showing you exactly where the missile is, where it is going, and the safest path to dodge it. It's like having a GPS for danger. Think about the last time you were driving and your GPS, your phone, and the radio all went off at once. Confusing, right? Now imagine that at 500 miles per hour with someone trying to kill you. The F-35 silences the noise. But here's the real game changer. The F-35 does not just keep this information to itself, it shares it. This is called MADL, Multifunction Advanced Data Link. It's a secure, low probability of intercept network. Imagine the F-35 is a quarterback. It can see the defense, it can call the play, and it can tell the receivers where to run. An F-35 can fly silently, detect an enemy squadron, and send the target data to an F-22 hiding 50 miles away. The F-22 turns on its radar for 1 second, fires its missiles, and turns it off. The enemy never sees the F-22. They only see the missiles coming. Who got the kill? The F-22 or the F-35 that painted the target?
In military terms, this is A-site to B-site engagement. It means the shooter and the spotter are different platforms. This renders traditional air defense useless. You can hide from the shooter, but you can't hide from the spotter, and the spotter is invisible. Look at this screen. There are no dials, no gauges, just two large touchscreens. This is the most powerful computer ever put in a fighter cockpit. It processes 550 million instructions per second. To put that in perspective, that's more computing power than was used to land Apollo 11 on the moon. Actually, it's millions times more powerful. Why does it need this much power? Because of the helmet. We teased it earlier, the ability to see through the floor. Most people think this is a camera trick. It's not. It's augmented reality integrated with physics. Let's break down the AN-AAQ-40 helmet-mounted display system. This helmet costs $400,000. Yes, $400,000 for a piece of plastic and glass that you wear on your head. Why? Because inside the helmet there are no screens. The visor is the screen. Information is projected directly onto the pilot's retina. But here's the magic. 6 infrared cameras are placed all over the body of the F-35, one on the top, one on the bottom, one on the nose, one on the tail. These cameras stitch together a perfect 360-degree spherical view of the outside world. When the pilot looks down, he doesn't see his lap, he sees the ground below the plane. The image from the belly camera is projected into the visor. If the pilot looks left, he sees through the left wing. It creates the illusion that the fuselage of the jet is transparent. Look at that footage. That is not a simulation. That is a real pilot looking through the floor of a solid metal aircraft. Why is this tactical? Because in a dogfight, you need to see what's below you. Normally, the wings and the body of the jet block your view. You have to bank the plane to see your blind spots. That takes time. That exposes your energy. With the F-35, you just move your head. You can track an enemy missile coming from below without turning the plane. You can look at a target on the ground while flying level. It removes the physical limitations of the human neck and the metal airframe. If you could see in every direction at once, would you ever be surprised? Probably not. And in combat, surprise is the only thing that kills you. If you remove surprise, you remove death. But there is a weakness. Every system has a weakness. The F-35 relies on data. It relies on networks. It relies on software. What happens if the network goes down? What happens if the GPS is jammed? This is the scenario that keeps engineers up at night. And the solution they found is terrifyingly simple.
Let us talk about stealth again, but let us get technical. Stealth is not just shape, it is material. The F-35 is coated in RAM, radar-absorbent material. It sucks up radar energy and turns it into heat. But here's the myth. Stealth makes you invisible. False. Stealth makes you look small. To a long-range search radar, an F-35 might look like a bird or a glitch. The radar operator sees a blip, assumes it is noise, and ignores it. By the time the blip gets big enough to be a threat, the F-35 is already inside the weapon engagement zone. This is the first look, first shot, first kill doctrine. If you see me first, I die. If I see you first, you die. The F-35 is designed to ensure it is always the first look. But adversaries are catching up. China and Russia are building low-frequency radars, VHF radars. These radars have longer wavelengths. They can sometimes detect stealth aircraft. So is the F-35 obsolete? Here's the counterintuitive truth. Even if a low-frequency radar detects the F-35, it cannot target it. Detection is not targeting. Think of it like hearing a car engine in the distance. You know a car is coming, but you do not know exactly where it is. You cannot shoot it. To fire a missile, you need fire control quality tracking.
You need precise X, Y, and Z coordinates. Low-frequency radar is too fuzzy to guide a missile. So the F-35 pilot knows he is being watched, but the guy watching cannot shoot. The F-35 pilot can then use its superior sensors to find the radar site and destroy it. This is called SEAD, suppression of enemy air defenses. The F-35 is the ultimate SEAD platform. It hunts radars. And because of its sensor fusion, it can identify the type of radar by its signal signature. It knows that is an S-400, that is a Panseer. It knows the range, it knows the frequency. It's like walking into a room and knowing exactly what gun everyone is holding just by the sound of the safety clicking off. What would you do? You wouldn't fight fair. You would ambush them. And that's exactly what the F-35 does. But let's go deeper. Let us talk about the engine. The Pratt & Whitney F-135. It produces 43,000 pounds of thrust. That's more thrust than the entire engine of a Boeing 737, all in one package. Why does it need so much power? Because stealth creates drag. The weapons are internal. The bays open, the drag spikes. The jet needs brute force to accelerate out of trouble. But there's a new engine in development, the F-135 Enhancement Package. It's designed to handle more electricity. Why electricity? Because the future of warfare is not just missiles, it's electronics, it's jamming. The F-35 is being built to generate enough power to fry enemy electronics from the sky. Imagine a missile is fired at the F-35. The F-35 doesn't just dodge, it talks to the missile. It jams the seeker head. It sends false GPS coordinates. It convinces the missile that the sky is the ground. This is soft kill. You don't need to shoot the missile if you can convince it to miss you. And the F-35 is the best in the world at soft kill. Now let us talk about the night. Most air combat training happens during the day, but real war happens 24/7. The F-35 sensors work just as well at night as they do during the day. In fact, infrared works better at night. Heat signatures stand out against the cold ground. An F-35 pilot flying at night has a clearer picture of the battlefield than a pilot flying in the day. They are nocturnal predators. There's a concept called vampire missions. F-35s operating exclusively at night, hunting enemy supply lines, tanks, and radar. The enemy cannot see them, the enemy cannot hear them, but the enemy is dying. This psychological warfare is potent. Imagine being a tank commander. You don't know where the planes are, you just know your friends are exploding. Morale collapses. The F-35 breaks the enemy's will to fight before the physical battle begins. Look at the pilot. Calm. In older jets, the pilot is sweating, pulling Gs, managing systems. In the F-35, the automation handles the flight, the pilot handles the war. This reduces fatigue. A tired pilot makes mistakes. The F-35 keeps the pilot fresh for the decision-making. But there's a cost to this automation. What happens when the pilot loses trust in the machine? There was an incident where a pilot felt the oxygen system was failing. He ejected. The jet, worth $100 million, crashed. The pilot survived, but it raised a question. Is the system too complex? Are we relying too much on the computer? This is the debate raging in the Pentagon right now. Man versus machine. Who is really flying the jet? We need to zoom out. The F-35 is not a standalone weapon. It's a node. In the future, an F-35 might not carry any missiles at all. Wait, what? A fighter jet without missiles? Here's the future doctrine. You have older jets like F-15s or F-16s. They carry lots of missiles, but they are visible. You have the F-35. It carries fewer missiles, but it is invisible. The F-35 flies ahead. It finds the targets. It tells the F-15s behind it where to fire. The F-15s launch from safety. The missiles fly through the data link provided by the F-35. The F-35 guides them in. The F-35 is the brain. The F-15 is the fist. This extends the life of older aircraft. It makes the whole fleet deadlier. And then there are the drones, the Loyal Wingman program. Imagine an F-35 flying with 3 unmanned drones. The F-35 pilot controls the drones with voice commands. Drone 1, scout ahead. Drone 2, jam that radar. Drone 3, attack that target. The F-35 stays back, safe. The drones take the risk. If a drone gets shot down, you lose a machine, not a human. This is the future of air combat, manned-unmanned teaming, and the F-35 is the only jet currently built with the processing power to manage this swarm. Is it fair to fight an army of robots controlled by one mind? War is not fair. It is about winning. But this raises an ethical question. If an AI-controlled drone makes a mistake, who is responsible? The pilot? The programmer? The general? The F-35 is pushing us into this ethical gray zone faster than we can legislate it. But let us get back to the hardware, because there is one variant of the F-35 that defies physics entirely, the F-35B. The F-35B is the short takeoff and vertical landing variant. It can hover, it can fly backward, it can land on a small amphibious assault ship or a stretch of highway. How? It has a lift fan behind the cockpit. When the pilot engages it, a massive door opens and a fan spins up, pushing the nose down while the main engine pushes the tail up. It balances on a column of thrust. This capability allows Marines to operate from anywhere. You do not need a runway. You can hide the jet in a forest, refuel it from a truck, launch it. It makes the aircraft unpredictable. The enemy does not know where the airbase is, because the airbase is everywhere. This is expeditionary warfare. It complicates the enemy's targeting solution immensely. If you cannot find the airport, you cannot bomb the planes. But this complexity comes with a maintenance nightmare. The lift fan adds weight, it adds moving parts, things break. This is where the critics have a point. The F-35 requires more maintenance hours per flight hour than legacy aircraft. It needs climate-controlled hangars. It needs special coatings. It is high maintenance, like a supercar. You cannot just take it to any mechanic. You need a specialist. And in a war zone, logistics are king. If you cannot fix it, you cannot fly it. The U.S. military is working on autonomic logistics. The jet diagnoses itself. It tells the ground crew exactly what part is broken before it even lands. Replace circuit board B4. It orders the part automatically. It tries to remove the human error from maintenance. But can it survive a peer conflict, a war against China or Russia, where the airspace is contested, where GPS is jammed, where satellites are blinded? This is the ultimate test. The F-35 was built for this. It has navigation systems that do not rely on GPS. It uses terrain matching. It uses celestial navigation updates. It can find its way home even if the stars go dark. There is a mode called emitter control. The jet turns off all active transmissions. No radar, no data link, no radio. It becomes a silent listener. It navigates purely by passive sensors. It is a ghost in the truest sense. In this mode, it is nearly undetectable, but it is also isolated. The pilot is alone. This brings us back to the human element. Technology is great, but war is human. Pilots who fly the F-35 describe a feeling of omnipotence. They know more than the enemy. They know more than their own commanders on the ground. They have the best picture of the battle. This shifts the power dynamic. The pilot in the sky becomes the battle manager. They can redirect ground troops. They can call in naval fire. They are the eye of God. But does knowing everything make you hesitant? Sometimes, in the old days, pilots had to trust their gut. Now they trust the screen. What if the screen lies? There have been instances where sensor fusion glitched, where a friendly plane was identified as an enemy. The system is not perfect. The pilot must always be ready to override the computer. The human in the loop, that's the safeguard. As long as a human can